Hello everybody and welcome to one more video on big units of World War II designed for rapid fire. And this one will be the French Infantry Division and also at the same time the Motorized Infantry Division, which will be called DI for the Division d'Infanterie and DIM for the Division d'Infanterie Motorisée, the Motorized Infantry Division. This is the fourth video on the French Army. I already showed you the Cavalry Division, the DLC, the Mechanized Division, the DLM, and I already showed you also the DCR, the Division Cuirassée de Réserve. So this is the fourth and probably the last one. You can see here mostly the like this. This is the infantry division here, and over there you see some army support units, which could be also integrated into the infantry division or in whatever division that it was necessary. But this will conclude the series of the French. There are still one or two small details that will always can be added, of course. I mean, if there are new stuff showing, if there is always that temptation, but I can call it done. I can call this division done. So let's see from where the inspiration came. Of course, it came from our master's books on 1940. This one is one of them, the Blitzkrieg battle groups. There's another one already, which is the battle games. This one provides the information on how to organize things. So the normal infantry battalion is this one here with 3 companies. Each company has a rifle grenade. There is a support company that you can see here with 3 Hotchkiss and 1 mortar 81mm, one with 81mm barrel, sorry, and also a mortar cart. The command is usual 60mm mortar and a group of 3 figures as command. So, for instance, you can see here some differences for the motorized. For instance, here motorized, as it has a little bit more motors, of course, inside. There are some vehicles to be added, but the organization is pretty much the same. The 25mm were allocated to the battalion and not concentrated on regimental support weapons company, as we'll see in the Division d'Infanterie. Also, there is some transport for the command. By the way, speaking about that, you can see here that the weapons company of the infantry division is separate and was allocated to the demands of each battalion. Regarding this number, I used a little bit more than 2 per regiment. You can see them here. I placed 3 because, in fact, the number of 25mm guns were close to 50 in each division. So I think a total of 9 of these weapons distributed along the 3 regiments is better, plus 1 for the GRD that we'll speak later. So this is the inspiration, of course. Here is the 75mm guns that each division had. In terms of infantry, it is of course pulled by horses. In terms of Division d'Infanterie Motorisée, is pulled of course by the unique 107s, P107s. Regarding the 155mm, the Schneider C version, it is pulled also in the Division d'Infanterie by horses. And this is what I'm going to. I'll show you. I will not show you again the artillery pulled by the Unix or whatever tow, with the exception of one of the 155mm groups. Because it would be redundant. I mean, these ones are the new ones to be shown. So let's see the regiments. You can see here what I've showed you on the charts. The 3 battalions, the command can be both DE and DEM command, with a dispatch rider, which is an add-on. Some motor transport also for each of the regiments, as you can see. And well, this is the organization that you can see in the charts. 81mm mortar, command group, 60mm mortar, and Hotchkiss MMGs, and rifle companies here, and also some voiturettes to pull the 81mm, which was in fact, sorry, divided into small parts. And you can see here the mortar divided into parts, and then here mounted on the ground and ready to fire. So this is the organization that you'll see repeated all along the three regiments. Okay. Now let's see here the 75mm groups. There are three of them, as you can see. There is here two groups for the 155mm guns. One of them is pulled by horses, so it is the one for the, of course, the DE, and this one here pulled by MCG5 tractors is the one, and rubber wheels, of course, as you can see here, is the one for the DEM. You can see also here a company of pioneers, a battalion of Renault R35 is a little bit more than a battalion. 10 will be enough, but I have here 12 because of the possibility of using two understrand battalions of 6 each. In some scenarios of the Battle of France, that thing occurred. So this is the command of the division here, with several kinds of vehicles that we'll speak later. And here is one of the most important assets also, and always one of the most interesting, which is the GRD, Groupe de Reconnaissance, de Division d'Infanterie, Divisionnaire d'Infanterie, which is the reconnaissance group for the infantry divisions, with those very, very nice uniforms and those very, very flashy motorcycles with sidecar, and also their vehicles, automitrailleurs and such, were also very, 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 very nice. Models. Let's start here by the GRDE, for instance. These ones I already showed you from previous French infantry division, French division. Sorry, maybe not this one, which is some Pegasus figures converted to become GRDE personnel. You have here a Peugeot 202, if I'm not mistaken, converted from an Austrian 10. This one was Minigeneral, as this AMR 35 ZT3, also from Minigeneral. You have here also Minigeneral, the 25 Hotchkiss gun. Here with the AJT converted figures for the personnel. The Lafley V15T here from Minigeneral, also to pull the anti-tank gun. Here the Schneider's P16s. I have an exaggeration here, of course. I mean, this is the camouflage for the, if I'm not mistaken, for the 6th GRE, and this one is for the 1st GRE, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's the opposite, I can't be sure. They are 3D printed by my friend Mário Laranja. And here is a squadron of Pagnard. These ones here, these three first ones are Altaia, and the last one is Skytrex. The command of the division, you can see here again Mário Laranja Latil, SHQ without sidecar for dispatch riders, a Vespa Renault ADH and a small vignette to go along with it. First regiment is crammed with the very nice Pegasus figures that you can see here, with plenty of conversions that probably those who know the box will recognize them. Also some Revell figures in the middle, and also some Simon soldiers at the back. Unfortunately, there are very few. They were given to me by Simon Ford when I ordered him the Pioneers. He was very kind and sent me a good bunch of them, of infantry. And here you can see the other battalions are the same, as I told you, same idea. Here are the again Minigeneral 25mm guns. There's also a Lancer gun over there, and crew are converted Pegasus, Revell, and some irregular miniatures also in the middle. The horse toes are made in 3D in resin, in 3D printer of my friend Mário Laranja. There is a Lancer Wecheniet also. And for some transport, you have here the Atlas Renault TN6 C2 and some tracks that pretend to be the GMC ACK 353. This one became famous because of this very beautiful lady that is always staring at us each time I pick the truck. She's always, I don't know what in fact she wants, but I mean she's there for already at least for 2 years or 3 maybe, and still waiting. So these are conversions from models that I bought in kind of supermarket, that kind of shops, but they are pretty much look pretty much with the GMC ACK. So the infantry is more or less seen, but you can just a note to see that there are much older battalions here with plenty of Airfix and Revell figures, much older than this Pegasus. But the same idea, scratch built mortar voiturettes, as you can see here. There is one in each of the battalions, so a total of 9. These are completely scratch built. Same idea for the anti-tank guns in here, and as you can see, plenty of Revell and Airfix figures, which was what existed a few years ago, as you know. Nowadays there are Pegasus, there are Kaiser, there are also some Kaiser somewhere, most probably. Look, here we have some Kaiser figures also. Now for the brands that make the artillery. You have here a group made of HAT, both crew and guns. Here irregular miniatures, crew and guns also. Here is a very old metal 75mm. I don't really remember the brand. They were my first, but the crew is again irregular miniatures. There are some Citroën Sévions here, as you can see. Again, Mário Laranja resin printed with some HAT Ford observers. The Orstos are a little bit of everything. These are conversions, I think, with some Britannia horses and some HAT riders. These ones are only exclusively irregular miniatures from the Spanish Civil War range, but which can be, because the uniform was very close, can be easily adapted to the French of 1940. And this one here is, I think, based on the World War I British artillery by Airfix. Then, of course, plenty of cuts here and there to make it look like the French, and of course, HAT riders and drivers. So regarding this part, I think everything is shown. Just a few notes on the divisional command. For instance, Samka 5 here, 3D printed by Mário Laranja. Lancer, very old market found staff car with some general that commands the entire division. He got the oldest thing and he left the most modern thing for the teeth, for the fighting people of the division. You can see here something I found on GBM. It's a magazine that is almost essential for those who want to make French in 1940. GBM is one of the best magazines you can have. And this is something from the 20s that I just hope that it still can be found, that still could be found eventually, I don't know, in some infantry divisions. For it was, of course, for staff and command, pulled by another fake GMC. And this thing was called, I have it written somewhere, I can tell you, it was the, where is that thing? Remorque bureau, or bureau, sorry. So trailer, office, or office trailer, if you want. Now for this other regiment, for instance, some different things here. For instance, you can see a ShellHole Scenics Renault ADH, another Latil, and another dispatch rider. Here you have Lafley S20 command version with a telephone trailer. This one is Minigeneral. Then I converted it to a command version, to the command version. You can see here Simon Soldier's fantastic Pioneers with World War One cart by Britannia, easily converted to also to a French one because it is very, very close. Bigger wheel at the back, smaller wheel at the front, and as these things were wood, there wasn't really a big difference between them. And this is, by the way, let me just check the true name of the thing. It was called, I have here a paper, well, which tells me the things that I don't remember. It is the Fourgon Omnibus, and this is the thing that we are talking about. Okay, it was also present in the pioneer companies, both trucks and this kind of transport also. Now for the infantry battalion. The tank battalion here. They're all R35s, both short 37mm and long 37mm versions. There are old Skytrex here, then the same model, but this time made by Lancer, again Skytrex, and this group here and here are Minigeneral. Yeah, exactly. And I think for the infantry, it's almost everything, but some anti-aircraft guns, which were completely scratch built. These are the 20mm Oerlikon, the CA39 model, pulled by this kind of cards. In fact, if you don't have GBM or some good information regarding this kind of stuff, it is very difficult to build these exquisite French things, because in fact, when information lacks, I mean, you get a little bit stuck. But JBM generally comes to save our day. You have here the anti-tank company with AMX 47mm guns, pulled by these ones I think are Lancer, and these here are EWM. They should be in fact be the P17. I don't have any, but I have here some P19s, which are very close to the original P17s that would pull these 47mm guns. Then you have here a DEM group for 155mm with Lancer MCG5 and Minigeneral guns with Simon Soldier's crew mostly, and also some irregular miniatures. Then the horse-toed 155mm guns. These one are Ace, not an easy build, as everybody knows, with plenty of conversions from the Revell infantry box of World War One. They were turned into artillerymen, as I like to do. And here is the horses that pull the 155mm guns. I think in terms of the division, everything is shown. I think so. And now let's see what else is on the table. You have here, for instance, for some divisions, from some not frontline divisions that were not expected. I mean, to more rear guard units, because French divided, as almost all armies did, their soldiers into different categories. You have here, for instance, instead of the Renault 35, a large group of Renault FT17. Some of them are the FT31s, the ones with ribbon machine guns. And the battalions were much larger. These FTs 17 and 31s were really much larger than the battalions of Renault, but I mean, not this large. I just have enough, more or less, to make two battalions of these things. In fact, they are. I mean, it happened because first of all, you collect a number of them from Matchbox, because you need the Charbon Bs, of course. And then, I mean, Pedro Pato made the FT31, and I also had to have a few. This is the 75mm version, and these ones are the command version. So these ones are 3D printed. These ones are plastic, and this one here is a Skytrex metal model. Another possibility to reinforce or support the infantry division is this Char D1. This, in fact, is the 67th tank battalion, and it was one of the units that came from Tunisia to try to save the battle for France. And then you have here the very famous, of course, FCM 2C, and this is in fact the 51st tank battalion with the 35R small chainets to give fuel to these big ones. These two, to the left you have a Minigeneral 1, and to the right you have a Retrokit 1, and they are the Provence and the Picardy. You can also name them with 8 different names, because there were a total of 10 built. This is the famous battery of Minigeneral for the 149mm gun. Very nice contraption, as you can see. Then I placed some Strelets R miniatures on top of it, and the thing is funny, even if probably, I mean, of little usage. In order to complete the set, you need some wheels on both sides of the firing platform, and these wheels came from the World War I Mark I British tank from Airfix. Okay, those rear-wheeled kind of rudder that World War I British tanks used at the beginning. Now, for some heavy support, I mean, still some heavy support, in the shape of a group of Grand Puissance Filiou 155mm guns. There is only one tow for them at the moment. This is an Albi kit, and this one is the Strelets R version, and this is my own. It's scratch built version for the Grand Puissance Filiou. Only the gun itself, the tube, is taken from the Esci M12 American SPG. Crew are a little bit of everything. I mean, Airfix, Revell, and Strelets R, of course. Another possibility for tank battalion, you can see here the FCM 36. There are only 2 battalions of these. Again, Minigeneral with Skytrex figures. Let's try to focus. And also some Lancer figures. And finally, the P28 that came from the COMAM, which was the Center for the Automitrailleurs in France. They were taken from of course from reserve and thrown into battle in the months of June 1940. Some of them were destroyed, and there are several pictures of them. A very funny little vehicle, and made by Minigeneral. And these two here are the very beautiful World War One age. These are the lovely. Sorry for me to find you the correct information. These are the lovely IMD 50, okay, with AJT and Skytrex figures. Also made by these ones made by my friend Mário Laranja in 3D printed resin. Okay, and this is the, this is the not only the some support core support, but also the infantry division that is here, with almost everything made, I think. So it is the end of the French army. It was a big adventure to make all these 4 divisions. Very interesting, lots of reading and lots of learning also, and extremely fun because plenty of things need to be scratch built or transformed at least. So it was really challenging, and it's a very, very funny group to be made in terms of modeling and also even of course history reading and history learning. So it was a pleasure. Hope to see you next with something else. Again, Martin, maybe Russian tank corps for Kursk. Let's see what we can get. Also, on the making there is a mechanized Ukrainian brigade. So let's see what comes first. Okay, so it was a pleasure. Hope you have enjoyed, and see you next. Bye bye.